Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first ever Patreon Q&A, a once-a-month thing that I will be doing from here forward. If you would like to submit a question for the Patreon Q&A, then you can go to our Patreon page, and if you donate $1 to us for a bare minimum of one video, then we will answer any question that you send us. Or rather, I will answer any question that you send us. I could check with Petter up and see if he's up for that sort of thing. But he says that he's had some trouble with his recording rig, so maybe not right away on that. But in any case, though, I will answer questions. Of course, as I say questions, it's not sacred just to the Patreon thing. We are not setting up a paywall. If you would like to ask me questions on, say, like, I've got a live stream that I'm doing now as I work on the Mentally Advanced series. You could go there and ask questions, and I may be able to respond. You can send me messages on Tumblr. I will try to respond there. But Patreon questions, I promise to respond to. So, we have a variety of questions from a variety of folks, and at the end of this, we will read off everyone who opted in for this thing. I will read off your name. And of course, we have more supporters than just these fellows, but these are the people who opted in for this particular thing. So if you would like a shout out, then just opt in and I will do so at the end. So anyway, first question is from Wayward Pony, and of course I respond to these in no particular order. These are just where they came in through my inbox, either from bottom to top or top to bottom. I can't remember where I fished them out from. But anyway though, Wayward Pony, thoughts on the legality of fanfiction? And I paraphrase these questions because some of them are a bit long. But he asked me about fanfiction, like what did I think about the legality of fanfiction? And it's a complex question. Anyone who tells you otherwise most likely has a stake in the argument. Because a lot of people really want to believe that, like, oh, you know, it's totally legal. You're making your own brand new thing. You know, you're not really, you're not doing this or that, and it's totally fine. But actually, it depends on the fanfiction and the nature of what it is that you're doing. You have to remember that a lot of times, like when you're looking at television shows, certain characters might be trademarked, or they have sort of an expressed copyright on their characters. So when you write about these particular characters, you're probably violating those copyrights if you're just using them to write like your own story. Like for example, people write romance stories between Rainbow Dash and Applejack. And if that's all you're doing, and you're not really making an implicit commentary on the characters, most likely it's against the law, strictly speaking. The thing is, though, is that there's no money, really, in fan fiction. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's for everyone's own personal enjoyment, and you could go around harassing all the fanfics and be like, oh, shut this down, shut this down. In fact, fanfiction.net accepts responses like that. Certain authors, like Anne Rice, are really strict about it. They're very protective. They don't like criticism. I don't like criticism, but they're very protective of their own work. And they say, don't let anyone else write sleazy vampire novels using my sleazy vampire characters. So fanfiction.net they'll respect them and they won't allow it. And so if, for example, Hasbro was like, man, all these fanfics are a real problem. Stop writing them. They could come in and do that. Now, there are exceptions, though, because if you're writing a fanfic that's somehow transformative or somehow inherently commentative on the original material, you might get a pass on fair use. Parodies of the original material work as well. It just depends on whether or not your work would stand up to a set of legal guidelines. Now, the trouble with this is if you try to pursue that sort of thing, it's an affirmative defense. So there's no way that you could write like a fanfic and know for sure that it falls within section 107 of copyright law unless you actually went to court and proved that defense. It's a kind of a trial by fire sort of deal. That's really the only way to go through it. And to be really sure, you'd have to speak to a lawyer because copyright law is very, very challenging. It's very gray. There's a lot of areas that are sort of like hard to say. But that's why, that's why, like I say, anyone who tells you strictly one way or the other, they probably got an agenda. The most realistic answer is that it just depends on the fanfic in question. Personally, I've talked about the methods of rationality before, Harry Potter and the methods of rationality, and I personally think that might be a good qualifier in my non-expert opinion, just because it's a look at the Harry Potter universe from a very rational lens. It actually takes apart a lot of the concepts and a lot of the themes and the setting and kind of examines them in this very realistic light and tries to figure out how would this universe work in a practical sense. And so it's reliant on the original material, but in a highly critical way. And so you could maybe make an argument for something like that. But like I say, just a romance story, like a kind of a romance fling between Rainbow Dash and Applejack with like You add the Terminator from the Terminator movies in there, because what the heck? Maybe wouldn't pass. I mean, it depends on whether or not you are making some kind of like really implicit commentary about the idea of romance, and so it's hard to say. But that is the whole thing with the legality of fanfics. Most of them are perfectly safe, though. Like I say, it's not worth it really to chase them down, because I mean, like, fanfics of My Little Pony are pretty well non-competitive with the actual show, and they're probably a boost for the merchandise, because more people get into the show, into the merchandise. Yeah, so most companies don't even mess with it. It's not worth the effort. So you can write them, but if somebody ever tells you to like remove them, then there's, you probably might as well. You're probably out of luck. It's one of those kind of deals. But yes, that is fanfiction. That is first question, which we'll continue to unceremoniously throw to the floor when we are done to represent that we are finished answering each question. This one comes from Harvey94. I've got a couple of them from him. His first one is, what are your comedic and artistic influences? And we've actually got a couple. When we first started out, I was kind of influenced by Little Karibo and Team 4 Star as well, because of course they were the ones they're kind of like the fathers of abridging, as we know it currently. They're the guys who made it popular. And a lot of what they would do to come up with voices is they would rely on like media characters. And so I did kind of the same thing that they did, where I had characters that took a little bit after, like the red guy from Cow and Chicken. And Scootaloo, of course, has some inspiration from Johnny Bravo. This is an approach that I took originally. And you find that early on, when you start making like works, you won't really have your own voice. You'll kind of be looking at other people. Like, for example, Lovecraft is someone that we look to for inspiration for some stuff. Certain elements, we make fun of the magical elements of My Little Pony by bringing in like horrible black magic from the Lovecraft mythos. And Lovecraft, when he first started out, he wrote a lot he tried to imitate Poe's style, because he was a very big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. And so we kind of started off the same way, looking around at other people and kind of seeing what they were doing, and sort of doing what they were doing until eventually the series sort of found its own voice. And since then, it's still influenced by outside events, like I'll keep up with politics, or I'll be watching this, or I'll be watching that, or these sort of things, and I apply them into the Mentally Advanced series, or into Rainbow Dash Presents, or stuff about like the health insurance debates, got into Bittersweet, because Pinky comes down with diabetes, and sure enough, she can't get insurance. Like, her insurance doesn't cover, so it's like thousands of dollars. And would be less funny. I mean, I worked at a pharmacy, so I like would run into that kind of stuff. So a bit of life experience for me for that stuff as well. Of course, I also go to places, big public places like 4chan and Equestria Daily and stuff like that. And the humor there, too, also has an influence on the series. Like, I see people making certain jokes, and you can't... I mean, like, you could say that no ideas are 100% original. You can't divorce yourself from the things that you see or the jokes that other people tell. And so other people's humor, things that other people observe, kind of sneaks in there, too. And we put our own spin on it. But that is where it's a good place to get ideas. You can go and talk to people about the show and joke with them about stuff within the show. I've got another question from Harvey. He says, are feathered dinosaurs better? And from a strictly aesthetic standpoint, potentially. I mean, like, birds are really pretty. So if you wanted to draw really pretty dinosaurs, I suppose that feathered dinosaurs would be your excuse to do it. You could start drawing them like birds of paradise, or like robins, and with all sorts of pretty camo colors on their feathers and everything like that. So they can be better. I mean, it just depends. As long as you don't make them look like chickens, then yeah, it's better. If you make them look like sleek, like hawks and birds of prey, then those would be pretty good. But yes. Why have you ignored the broader pony fandom? And this is an interesting question, because I'm not aware that I am ignoring the broader pony fandom. It reminds me of this time. I had a friend from high school, and she's gone out of the country a lot since she got out of high school. She does a lot of mission work. She's very religious, very much a part of her life, and so she goes off to like places like Haiti and does mission work out there. So she came back for a while though, and I went out and I got drinks with her and was just talking about life, catching up. And she tells me, she goes, one of your old ex-girlfriends told me that she's ready to bury the hatchet if you are. And I just kind of gave her this look, and I was like, huh? I was like, I haven't spoken to her since high school. Like, is there a hatchet? And so she laughs, and she goes, that's exactly what I told her. She goes, I didn't think that you were holding a grudge, but I told her that I'd relay the message to you. And I was like, oh, yeah, don't tell her anything. I don't care. So it was kind of like that, where you're like, how come you're not paying attention to the pony fandom? And I'm like, am I not? I'm not trying. I'm legitimately not aware of the broader section of the pony fandom that I'm ignoring. So you would have to elaborate. I'm really not sure. I'm not sure what you mean. This is like ex-girlfriend stuff where I'm just sort of like, she's still thinking about me? Because I guess that I'm like, I'm in the pony fandom, but I also spend a lot of time like doing non-pony stuff, and so I don't know. But anyway, though, another question is, have you played Civ 5 with the expansions? And no, I just got the vanilla game. I wasn't really fond of the vanilla game. I thought it was a little bit dull. It was kind of slow-paced. I didn't like some of the mechanics, so I just kind of went back to Civ 4 and didn't really look back to Civ 5. Next one, have you played XCOM? And I have not, but people have been recommending it to me, and they want to see it for the next Let's Play after MechWarrior. So I might have a look at it. In fact, I probably will. I will have a look at it, and I'll see if I can do something with it. If it would make a good Let's Play similar to the MechWarrior one, where I get to inject a lot of my own story into it, might be a good choice. So those are questions from Harvey94. Let us move on to John Curry. How does AdSense work in regards to videos, and how are viewers involved with the stuff like that? This was questions about like ad clicks and things like that. Like if I click your ads like 10 times in a day, does that get you banned? And the way it works, guys, is it's basically like if you see an ad and you like it and you want to go like check it out, then sure, click the ad. But like as individuals, the way that you get banned from AdSense is by what they call click bombing. And click bombing is when you write like a bot to go and you just spam clicks, like you spam like 100,000 clicks or whatever. That kind of stuff is against the rules. And some people have done this. This is a problem, is that click bombing is actually sometimes used by malicious parties to shut down YouTubers that they disagree with. Because then you have to go through like a bureaucratic process to establish that, yeah, it's click bombing and I didn't do it, and so on and so forth. I think there's a system for it. It's strange, but a lot of times if you see like a really obvious click bomb, then Google will just ignore it, and they'll try to figure out what your clicks would have been like ordinarily. It'll try to adjust. So it's complex, and I don't really know all the details, but if you're like sitting there if you click an ad 10 times, then as an individual, you're really not doing much. I mean, like I estimate that I probably get like $1 for every 1,000 views or something like that, or that's what I see, because there's like everybody gets a slice. And so you get like, you get $3 for every 1,000 views, and then YouTube takes half of it, and then like my network takes 30% of it, or 30 to 40%. And so you kind of go through. Everybody gets a little bit of the ad revenue, and when it finally gets to me, it's like $1 per 1,000 views. So like the Fallout New Vegas gets like 5,000 views in the first week or so, and so that'll be like $5. Most of our income comes through Patreon for that reason, because ad revenue has actually been dropping steadily on YouTube for the past while, because what they've done is they've started running more and more ads at lower prices, and they're running them across more people. And so that's brought in a ton more revenue for YouTube, but has been a huge hit to people who actually survive by like working on YouTube. It's caused people to have to look to alternative ways to make money through video creation. Patreon has been one of the most popular because it's very straightforward, very convenient, and you get to see like how much am I going to be earning through these videos. It's not perfect. It's a little bit loopy because it'll say things like you will earn $200 per video, but you see that it goes down like every donation you get. Like, some people will put an infinite amount of money. They'll just say like whatever he can produce, pay him for that. And other people will say like up to a maximum of $10. And so you tap out that $10 and then your donations go down low. It's complex, but Patreon, though, it's probably the most stable thing that's come out so far for most creators, and a lot of people like it. So that's very nice. But yes, I encourage you, don't just click the ads for the sake of getting me money. Like, it's enough. If you guys like the ads, then sure, go ahead. But don't click spam stuff. That's it's against the rules. I am not to encourage it. And they will, if they see click spamming anyway, like I said, they will adjust for it and they'll just cut it out. So it doesn't benefit me really. it's not good behavior. Don't do that stuff. In fact, too, people have asked me about ad blocker. They're like, should I turn off ad blocker while I'm watching your stuff? And it looks like if you want to, but like, it's not that big a deal. 1,000 views, $1. So if I have 1,000 people that are using ad block, then that's like $1 I don't get. So yeah, not that big a deal. Don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry about the ad stuff. Just reflect the ads as they are. Is it just advertisers? They want you to see their stuff. If you like their stuff, go with it. If you don't, you can skip them. No big deal. Peter Kordash, have you ever played your music in a game that generates levels based on audio input? And I have not. I'm not sure if someone has recommended this to me before, or if I just remember reading your question earlier in the month and then forgot and then read it again and thought, I think someone's recommended that to me before. But yes, I have not done that. I've got another one, though. On Pink Princess playset, why is Rampage of the Hero so screwy? My wording, not his. Rampage of the Hero is on Pink Princess playset, depending on where you download the album from. You may either get Rampage of the Hero twice for no particular reason, or one copy of Rampage of the Hero happens to be the outro song to the Mentally Advanced series. Why this is because I made a mistake, I think, when I was uploading to CD Baby, who is the distributor that I use to get stuff online, to get these albums online. And CD Baby is a little bit bizarre because they don't really support mass uploads. You kind of have to individually upload everything after you assign a name to it. And so somehow I got Rampage of the Hero on there twice, and I'm not sure what exactly went on, but once you launch the album, at that point, like Google Play and iTunes and everyone else, they take it and they just put it online. They're like, this is what it is. This is what we've got. I've also asked people. Oh, there it goes. It's okay. Anyway, I've also had people ask me like, why is the pricing different on CD Baby versus on like Google Play? They're like, on CD Baby, I see that the Monday Music album is like $5, but on Google Play, it's like $10. And the reason for that is because once it goes out, like once CD Baby sends stuff out, these other people just have it. And they don't screw around. They're like, nope, we've got it. It's final. It's done. The only way they take it down is if you show up and you say like, oh, we need to completely like remove these albums. That's when they remove them. They don't really mess with tweaks too much. I think it's all kind of automated because they get thousands and thousands of albums, thousands of things to sell, and so there's just an automated system. You can't screw with it very much. So I think I realized that I uploaded Rampage of the Hero twice, and I tried to get it fixed, and it just wound up like it's loopy. So some copies of Pink Princess playset will have 2 copies of Rampage of the Hero, and one copy, like certain copies will have the outro, but it'll be misnamed. But in any case, though, if you guys downloaded Pink Princess playset and you didn't get the outro to the Mentally Advanced series, it is available on our website. You can go and download it for free. You don't have to get the version that's got the outro on it. And it'll be named correctly. It won't have the lovely album art, unfortunately, but at the very least you can have it. So yes, strange, but that's how that works. Yeah, like I say, also the Google Play stores, all that stuff, they have their own pricing models as well. And I think that maybe I have a theory that potentially it's because companies like UMG or whatever got in there and they're like, we want to sell for $10 and that's what we're going to sell for. And so all these other companies were like, okay, fine, everything will be $10, and then that way the value of UMG's music sales won't drop any lower than they already have. Because if you really look at it, people like myself would really just like put a dampening, they would seriously dampen the music industry. It would just be like, I don't know, $2 sounds good for an album with 30 songs. I don't mind, guys. And pretty soon UMG would be like selling all their albums for like, $1 or whatever to try and compete with all the yutzes out there putting music out now. It's become very, very easy to be, Oops, I haven't answered that one yet. Yes, anyway, it's become a lot easier to be a musician, and so we would be very competitive with that sort of thing. I got one from Jeremy Butler. What is your background in MechWarrior? And this is because I've done a lot of stuff regarding the MechWarrior universe. Like we talked about when Rey got in her catapult, I was like, it ejects sideways. Don't eject from that one. It's got a very stupid ejection system. Stuff like that. We make jokes like that, or we talk about the specs of the robots and everything else. And my experience with MechWarrior is I haven't gotten into the tabletop game. I've thought about it, but I never had anyone that I knew to play with, and so I just never really got into it. but I played MechWarrior 2, MechWarrior 4 I really loved. When I was a kid, I believe there was a MechWarrior cartoon, if I'm remembering correctly. I remember the giant robots, and I had some action figures, and I am pretty sure that they were MechWarrior robots. Used to love those to death. I think that's pretty much it as far as it goes. But the reason why I'm able to do that on the MechWarrior 4 stuff is because I really do like the setting, and I like the universe, and I really like the robots. I think they're really cool. And so what I do is when I'm working on the MechWarrior stuff, and I'm thinking about things that I want to say, and how I want the script to go, I actually go online and I look up reference material on like how do these robots work, and like what do these do, how do they function, like how do the ECMs work in this setting. And I kind of adapt it to fit a narrative so that these characters can be concerned about the specs of their robots and everything else. I try to actually, so basically it's research that allows me to get that stuff done. And not that I wouldn't like to see more of the series and get more involved in it. It's just that, you know, a lot of them came out when I was younger. And like you say, I never got into the tabletop stuff, but I wanted to, but just never knew anybody else who played it. So that's where it comes from. That's where my background in MechWarrior comes from. It's mostly just a few games that I played and an old TV show that I don't remember a lot about. And then after that, just a lot of interested research in the setting. So that is how I figure out the stuff that I do about MechWarrior 4. Some of it is a little bit of inference, though. I will admit that that I kind of joke and make stuff up. But if it seems very congruous with the setting, then that means that I've done adequate enough research that I can make certain leaps I can make certain assumptions that make logical sense that are convincing. So yes, so some things I kind of make up a little bit. But I do so following the logic as I can figure out from online references. So that is how I do the MechWarrior series. Research. From Nathan, can we see your workspace? And yes, you may see my workspace. It's a beautiful workspace. As you can see, it has everything that I could possibly want. There is a tablet sitting over there on top of the table, and a really nice pair of headphones. Those are really good. I can hear all the nasty static that comes through my microphone. And speaking of, that is my Samson Meteor mic there on the right. It used to be a lot cleaner, but it's starting to get old. It has served me well for a while. It is portable, compact, pretty good. Picks up a fair amount of background noise, though, which is not great. And because it's getting old, I'm starting to have a problem with mic buzz. That's not so lovely. I've got a mouse and a keyboard and a monitor and also a webcam to talk with Kenza, and some speakers. They're not very good speakers. An empty Sobe bottle, which I need to throw away. That's been sitting there for a while. I don't know how long. Lots of dust. I need the dust. And some notes scrawled and placed underneath the monitor. That's my workspace. This is how I operate on a regular basis. The tablet I actually picked up. It's pretty cheap. It's about like $100, and it was something that I picked up because we got a really generous donation from somebody helping us out, and we wound up at the end of the month with enough money that I could budget that in. And at first I was just going to teach myself art with it casually, and then we had issues with the Mentally Advanced series. It got knocked by Content ID, and now I am using it to draw the Mentally Advanced series. So it turned out for the better. Glad that worked out. And yes, that's pretty much. That's the workspace. That's where I do my living at this stage. Of course, a lot of it is software too. So, I mean, I don't know. I use a variety of software, but as far as hardware goes, that's what I use. So, that's it for the questions. But a big shout out and huge thanks to Kirk Depew, Meat, John Curry, Shori Knight, Lorenzo Perez, Nathan, Jacob, Mark Lee Simon, Smash Lampjaw, Sean Mount, Jeremy Butler, NDR Minio, Jonathan, Severin Maloney Marsh, Samuel Albert Mell, Michael Efforts, Matthew Grisham, Ryan Green, Jordan, Ficus, Sirach, Austin Nugent, Jonas Hansen, Ryan Sconnard, Augusto Nicholas Chicas, part of this is my bad handwriting. My terrible handwriting makes it hard to read. Pell Eck, Limey Pony, Stephen Abbott, Harvey94, Peter Kordash, and Wayward Pony. Those are the people who opted in for the Q&A thing so they could ask questions and get a shout out at the end. If you guys would like to be a part of that, then you can also opt in through Patreon, and I will shout out at the end. Perhaps you guys, if we get a very, very long list, one day I will sit down and read off like 1,000 names, and that would be really fun. hopeful, very, very hopeful, a hopeful thought. Yes, but anyway, though, if you would like to submit your own questions for a Patreon Q&A, I will do one again once a month. We'll go through all the questions that I pick up and answer them in video form, wearing a lovely suit, and that is the way we do it. I suppose that's it. I will catch you guys next time.